I got on this table and got all sorts of questions. And so what I'm going to do is read them out. Sometimes it says to the whole panel. I may actually indicate someone who might want to answer the question, and I may chip in a bit from what CTS has put the BUPA on it. So the first one at the top that's come out of the box is, who in Solihull can support me if I'm having problems being supported as a carer in work? E.g., if my employer isn't following the law in terms of their responsibilities to employees who are carers. We had this discussion at Loft in Chelmsford Wood this morning, and one of the big organisations we referred to was the hubs, but we also said CAB. So just briefly, just to give your perspective on that, Pops.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It obviously it comes down to a flexible working arrangement with the employer. They have to. When looking at flexible working, the reason why they can't award or allow for a flexible working request has to be due to a business reason, and a good business reason. If someone is struggling to get that flexible working request, it would be worth looking at raising a grievance and possibly going to ACAS for arbitration and possibly tribunal to see if there's anything that can be done to overturn. Obviously, that's very stressful to go through that. And so people do need support writing a letter, starting the formal complaints procedure, formal grievance. That would be the route we would suggest we can support with some letter writing. It is a very stressful thing to go against an employer. It's, especially if it's your only source of income, it can be quite difficult, especially even if you know that you're in the right and you've got the legal backing, it can still be very stressful. So please reach out to the support from either ourselves or one of our partners here.
Thank you. I think one of the big issues that we're trying to do in CTS, working with BUCA on this particular initiative, but also working with Caroline, is a desire to increase the quality of support in the public sector as well. Major employer, often of women workers, many of who are carers, obviously the male carers as well. How do we get that message across? Because some of the division is so, I would argue, in modern age, elementary. Flexible hours, flexible days sometimes. This is the sort of thing I can honestly say Carers Trust takes very seriously. Any of our staff who are carers who need that extra flexibility get it. It's almost like we've got to walk the walk and talk the talk. But the message for good managers of good businesses is that flexibility is always paid back, with loyalty, a commitment, and it's just good management, isn't it? And it exudes itself and spreads out to the customers and other people using the services.
And does anyone else want to say any quick anything on that, man?
Sure, I can add to that as an employer and thought as campaigning guests for this. I think it starts with the culture in the organisation, and I think something that we're trying to push and drive and promote within our own organisation, something that we provide to our employers, our policies and our approach to engaging with our workforce. It's about flexibility, and Brandon's right, it's give and take. Most people give that back more, and it's getting employers to understand that the flexibility and giving someone a bit of room to actually, because if I roll it back, and we're all human, there's always something more important, and if you speak to your workforce, it's not going to be the job. Often family comes first, and or things outside of employment comes first. To get the best out of the individual in the workplace, you need to make sure that the most important thing in their life is satisfied, and that ethos is something I'm keen to kind of taking out to businesses in Solihull, to make sure that people understand the value in actually supporting people too, because we're very right, it's a very stressful thing to do for an employee to go against an employer, even if they're right. But I think employers have a lot more to benefit from by giving that flexibility and support to individuals within the workforce.
I suppose the other question as well is what happens when there is a challenge in different agencies, hubs, others, and if you want to come to us and ask for our advice, if it's beyond our legal framework. We know people we can refer to. We've got colleagues here, Sydney Mitchell, who were very involved in this morning's event. They got expertise and they could assist as well. But it's always about not being isolated, reaching out for help and support.